Hey, everybody, how are you doing? I'm Dr. Doug Vaughn. I'm a world-famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. This is my medical school diploma right here at Texas A&M University. Since coronavirus started, I try to do a Facebook Live a day, but I've taken a time off the last couple of weeks just because, we're isolated at home, and there's nothing new that I have to add that you can't catch on just regular media. Today, though, I feel like there's some new stuff that I want to share with you, including remdesivir, opening up, is it safe, etc. Now that we know about coronavirus. So do me a favor, hit share. Let's get a lot of viewers in here for me. I want to share a lot of information. Again, I am a surgeon. So here is my diploma from general surgery. And I show you that because, there's a lot of people who are talking on the internet these days about coronavirus. And I want you to know that, you're getting your information here from a credible source. Whether you choose to believe me or not is irrelevant. Okay. So hold on just a second. All right. So what I'm going to do is say hi to some people. Hey, John Clark, how you doing? Andy B, what's up? Just tell me where you're calling in from so I can say hi to you real quick. So like, for example, Sandra's from Florida. There's in the house. Hey, Heather Snow, how you doing? Willie, what's up? How are you, handsome? All right, hold on. Oh, this comments are going pretty fast here. Lisa Marie Thomas is in California. Let me know if you're watching from somewhere else outside of the United States. Alabama's in the house. What's up, Alabama? Oh, Ohio's in the house. Hey, where's the Lobos? 91. That's me, baby. Christy Jones, what's up? How you been? How you been, girl? You looking good. You're a nurse now? That's awesome. All right. Oh my gosh, we got so many people here. Look, North Dakota's in the house. Mississippi's in the house. Myrtle Beach, you stay safe over there. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Appreciate that. Pennsylvania's in the house. We're going to talk about some coronavirus updates. As I was saying, I was doing a daily coronavirus update, but I stopped that because I felt like I wasn't really adding any value anymore. Once I scared y'all to stay home, I felt that was pretty good. We were staying home. We were going to sit, and so there was really, I didn't want to add to the continual noise. What's up, Shauna? You looking pretty still. How are you doing? Arkansas's in the house. And so today there's some new news. So I wanted to bring you up to date about what's going to be like when we open up the United States, state by state. And then this new drug, remdesivir, I'm going to tell you about that. I want to set the record straight about Sweden, what's happened in Sweden. I'm also going to tell you, I've got some guests coming. I've had some celebrity guests to kind of get us through this period. Frank Shankowitz, founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, was a great interview. Celebrity chef Todd English was on with us. That was amazing. Potsy, Mr. Anson Williams, who played Potsy Weber from Happy Days, was on. That was a fun interview. Probably one of the best interviews was Walter O'Brien, who is the star of the hit TV show Scorpion. His life was based on that. The show is based on his life. Was a great interview. That was really good. I hope you guys have sound. Do you guys all have sound? Are y'all good? Yep, that's exactly right. So we're going to talk about Sweden. What are they really doing? We're going to talk about phasing out. Y'all serious? Let me see. Hope y'all have sound. Do y'all have sound or no sound? What are we doing here? I hear sound. All right, Utah. All right, let me see. Oh, good. So it's not me. I don't know. Make sure. If you're watching this on the replay, you can hashtag replay and you can fast forward to about the 5-minute mark. I'll get started here in 1 minute. So my edutainment series is still on track. I had Jill Michelle Melian, a friend of mine who was on Mad TV. That was a fun interview. Everybody loved Dr. Stephanie Rimka, the naturopath, and we had a great conversation. So thank you guys for sharing. I feel like I've got a lot sound on. Good. We have sound good. So it's just some people. That's awesome. So hope you get to fix that. George is in the house. Who else is here? Good. Excellent. It's not my end. Good. It's never my end. All right, let's get started. Thank you for hitting share. It really means a lot to me. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Duck Vong. I'm a world-famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. This is my diploma from Texas A&M University. And just to prove to you I really am a surgeon, here is my certificate from graduation from general surgery, Christus St. Joseph's Hospital in Houston, Texas, 2005. So I show you my diplomas, not to brag, but just to prove to you that I am who I say I am. And that's fine. You want to look me up, whatever. I did retire from medicine about 1.5 years ago. So I'm not actively practicing, but I keep up to date in terms of what's happening in the world, etc. That's fine. If you don't want to listen to me, that's okay too. You can go somewhere else. This is not meant for you. I did a coronavirus video when this all first started, and that went viral. It's got 15.5 million views. So that it was called Coronavirus, How Coronavirus Kills You and Why We Can't Save You. And at that point, I did that video because people weren't taking coronavirus very seriously back in early March. And so it was my attempt to really show you what was the pathogenesis of coronavirus and why you need to take it much more seriously, and how COVID-19 was going to kill us. Now, I've taken a little bit of heat for that video and for some predictions now, and that's fine. You know, I said we were going to have 1 million, 1.5 million cases of coronavirus by Easter, which we had about 600,000, which only proves my point, which was because we did the social distancing, we bent the curve. So for all my naysayers and people who just want to be ugly, let me ask you this question. What if we had done nothing? What if we hadn't canceled the sporting events? What if we hadn't canceled basketball and baseball opening and school and graduation? How many deaths would we have? Because we did that, we were able to blunt the curve, keep the numbers down. But even having said that, today is April 29th, and depending on which website you watch, we have over 1 million cases in the United States, okay? And we have, according to the New York Times, 60,000 American deaths, 60,000. And if you look at my early videos, I said we would be lucky. We would be lucky if we had under 100,000 deaths in the United States when this is all said and done. So we are nowhere near the end of this. So for my naysayers and ugly people, let me explain to you what's going to happen real quick. So there's a spike, there's an uptick in when the cases are going up, and I said we would peak in mid-May, and they're saying we're peaking now. That's fine. So they're saying we're peaking at the 3rd week of April. But people think peak means you're going to go up like that and then you're going to go right back down again. No, that's not what happens. It's going to peak up and then it's going to plateau and then it's going to gradually go down. So the tail is going to be really slow coming down. I want to draw what that's going to look like for you guys because I don't feel like I explained that very, very clearly. Oh, and as always, I'll edit this down. I'll put this on my YouTube channel for you. But okay, so I'm going to draw a little graph for you guys. Hang with me real quick. All right, so I have a little graph of cases and time. And when we were going up, and I'm just going to say March because March 11th, the CDC declared this a pandemic, which made me take attention. So the cases are going to go up like this, right? So it's an exponential case like that. And so I said we would peak in mid-May, but the government, we did the social distancing. And so we are peaking around the 3rd week of April. There, so that's the 3rd week of April, looks like that. I hope that makes sense. And now everybody thinks that once you peak up like that, I do a better job of this. I'll do this on my whiteboard. Everyone thinks when you say peak, oh, we're going to peak in mid-May, we're going to peak in whatever, that it's going to go back down like that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? But it doesn't. That is wrong. We don't do that. We do what you're seeing. Once we hit a peak, then it's going to go like this, and then hopefully a slow, gradual decline. This is the way it happens. right? Because there's a lag time and there's always new cases. We get better testing. We get better. We get more access to testing. But this is what we're in for, guys. So I said this was going to be mid-May. They're saying end of April, whatever. But my point is, this is going to be true. Now go back to my videos. I said we're going to be through this through mid-May, and the cases were going to hang around through June. And July, we were going to start burying our deads. You can go back to my early videos, okay? So we are going to be into this easily into July. And then guess what's going to happen here when you get into September, October, right? You got it. You're going to have another uptick. You're going to have an uptick around October with coronavirus. I better draw this later. You're going to have another uptick in October, September, October with COVID. This time it's going to be much more complicated because you're also going to have the influenza, the seasonal flu on top of it. So every fucker who's been walking around for the last couple of months saying, this is no worse than the flu, this is no worse than the flu. Well, one, you're wrong, because we know, number one, it's much more contagious than the regular flu. Like usually with the flu, someone's got to touch you. You got to really be up close. Coronavirus, not the same. You got 6 feet spread. It can be on surfaces called fomites for up to a day, maybe. We know now that heat really hurts it, so it doesn't like heat, which is thank God for the summer. And we know it's much more deadly. The death rate with the influenza or seasonal flu is only about 0.1%. And the global death rate with coronavirus is 3 to 4%. That's going up. But in certain countries like England, Italy, I mean, the death rate is 12, 13, 14%. The United States was bragging back in the early days when the death rate was only 1%. But now we know the death rate in the United States is 4 to 5%. And it's worse in some areas. So we need to give this virus its due. And I'm only showing you this graph is because, you know, hey, screenshot this, because some people think that I was wrong when I said what I said. I'm like, dude, I'm not wrong. I don't need to be right, but I'm just telling you, this is what's going to be happening. And you think it's bad now, it's going to be worse when it comes in the fall, back in the fall in October. And it's going to be complicated with regular influenza because they're all the same symptoms, right? Fever, chills, body aches, coughing, right? You're not going to know, and you're going to have a test. Now, thank goodness we have a rapid test now, which we didn't have early on. But we're not going to have a vaccine. We'll have a vaccine for the flu, but we won't have a vaccine for the coronavirus, right? So really the only way we can treat this is the social distancing, right? So I'm going to take your questions, but I do want to do some quick updates that are a little bit technical. Now, the new thing that just came out today, today's April 29th, the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, just released a paper study that it's a global multi-centered study which shows remdesivir. So let me write that for you. It's a medicine, remdesivir. I might have misspelled it. Something like that. If I misspelled it, that's okay. But it's something like that, remdesivir. It's an antiviral. They released a study of a little over 1,000 patients with 2 arms, which is good. We want a control group as well as a test group. Two groups, and it showed remdesivir had a benefit in treating COVID-19 patients. But these are really sick COVID patients, so they're already sick in the hospitals and the ICU. They're not looking good, right? So this is not for patients that are, it's not prophylactic, okay? So what they showed was in the group that received remdesivir, they had a much better outcome, significantly better outcome, and they had a decrease in hospital stays. So in the sugar pill, the control group, they had an average hospital stay of 15 days, and in the treated group, it was 11 days. So it cut the recovery time by 4 days, and the death rate, mortality rate in the The test group was 8%, but the control group was 11.6%. So a difference of 3.6%, which had a p level that was significant. Now, there's obviously the study is confounded because it was multi-centered, lots of areas, different patient population. But it gives us a general guideline that this is possibly promising. A couple of issues with it. Remdesivir is currently not approved for anything. I'll say it again. Remdesivir is not approved for any treatment, for any disease, for anything. It's a retroviral drug that stops viruses from replication of its RNA strand. So it's a nucleotide analog, technically speaking, but it's not approved anywhere on this planet for any treatment of any disease of any kind. Not for AIDS, not for Ebola. It actually started because it showed promise for treating like Ebola. And it showed in animal studies that it could have helped. It helped somewhat in SARS, the first SARS, and MERS. So, but it's never been really approved for anything in humans. Okay, this is a big point that you guys are going to see debated here the next couple of days, because people are going to sit there and say, we need to approve this remdesivir drug. We need to do compassionate treatment for approval. Listen, that's not how science works. The last thing you want to do is release a drug and let doctors use it and let it get out and create a panic about it, and we don't know anything about it. In a sense, we don't know side effects. All right. We are very good at reading headlines. We are very good at reading headlines. New drug, remdesivir, shows promise treating COVID-19. People will draw all sorts of conclusions from that headline that are going to be completely inaccurate. Let me say it again. Patients who were treated with remdesivir had an 8% death rate. 8% death rate. If you were treated with the sugar pill, the control group had a death rate of 11.6%. So that's a difference of 3.6%. Patients who got remdesivir still died. Another way to look at it is 88% of patients who did not get anything survived. 88% of patients who did not get remdesivir survived. Okay, so let's not jump to conclusions. I'm all for the science. I'm all for trying new drugs, but we are protected because we have a check and balances systems in medicine, and it's not safe for us to throw things out willy-nilly. Now, do I love the FDA? Do I love everything the government does? No, of course not. Are there drugs that should have some compassionate use? Sure. Are there situations where you might want to use something off-label? Of course. But during these times when you're talking about millions of people going to be affected, the last thing you want to do is release a drug and you don't know side effects, efficacy, etc. We have trials for a reason, guys. Okay, so that's what I want to say about remdesivir. It does show promise, but it's not like a huge. I'll compare it to something like this, and please don't get this analogy, like this comparison, wrong. Don't get all bent out of shape, okay? But for a few years ago, there seemed to be like a new diet pill that would come out every single year, right? Who knows, like these diet pills, and the news headline was like really hot, like, new FDA approves new diet pill, shows promise and weight loss, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at the data and sure, there's a difference, but when you look at the fine print, for $150 a month, for $1,000 a year, at the end of the year, the significant difference is 10 pounds, 15 pounds. Really? For that much money? For $100 a month, you have a difference of 15 pounds? Man, that's a lot of fruits and vegetables. So my point of telling you that is don't jump to conclusions when you see headlines, right? Remdesivir is currently not approved for any treatment of any disease worldwide. There is no country that has remdesivir available for anything. And yet there's this outcry about releasing it now to try to treat COVID-19 patients. Come on, we have to be more sensible than that, right? 88% of people will survive without remdesivir. And another way to say it is 92% of patients treated with remdesivir survived. Woo! I mean, how do you want to spin the line, right? Okay, so more studies need to be done, of course. Yes, we need to study it. Yes, it shows promise, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, the other topic I want to talk about is Sweden. Oh, by the way, if this is helpful, could you like share the video? That'd be awesome, you know, because some people are going to be arguing about this tonight. That'd be totally appreciate it. Thank you guys for your comments and everything like that. A lot of this is, going pretty fast. Apologize about that. All right, I'll take your questions here in a second. The next one I want to talk about is Sweden. A couple of weeks ago, there was this headline out that said something along the lines of Sweden is defying Trump's orders for social isolation. And it shows pictures of people walking in the park real close. And like, you know, Sweden's numbers are so low. Like, dude. So I read the article, and obviously it's just hearsay sort of news reporting. And then I reached out to colleagues who are actual surgeons in Sweden and said, what's going on in Sweden? Are you guys really not practicing social distancing? And they were all like, what are y'all talking about? Of course we're practicing social distancing. We're staying they're staying apart. They're staying home. They're doing hand washing. They're doing all that sort of stuff. And a colleague of mine who's a surgeon, he goes like, we're in the epicenter of Sweden. And our hospital is overwhelmed, and patients are dying, and our numbers are low because we can't test everybody. But you know, if you look at their number of cases they have in Sweden that's reported, and the number of deaths that's reported, they have about a 13% death rate. How do you feel about that? They have a 13% death rate, and everybody's all bent out of shape about how we need to like somehow be a lot more like Sweden. Listen, you can spin a story however you want. It's just not true. It's just not true. So what we really want to do is look at real data, look at what's really, really happening, right, in America. So if America has 1 million cases and it did what Sweden did, and you can't project, you'd have a 13% death rate. Let's assume they have a 13% death rate. That would be 130,000 deaths. 130,000 deaths if you had 1 million, right? So, so let's get some facts straight. You know, Sweden is not ignoring social isolation and distancing rules. Sweden has a lot of cases. Sweden has like a 13% death rate. So, you know, let's get our facts straight. Okay, next one. There was 2 doctors. Are you guys liking this? There were 2 doctors who they were urgent care doctors, and they did in California, and they did a press conference that sort of went viral on YouTube. It had 600,000 views or so before it got taken down. I saw some of it. And these 2 doctors, you know the video I'm talking about. They're 2 men, dark-haired, white guys. And they said, we looked at our numbers and we don't see what we're talking about. And they read off their list of their numbers. They did these calculations, and they said it's 0.01%, blah, blah, blah. We're shutting down school. We're doing all this sort of stuff. You know, these hospitals are empty. We're not seeing what the government's seeing. And so I had a lot of people share this video to me, etc. First of all, you got to be careful. California, for a state that size, is doing pretty well. They're not like New York City. LA, New York is the most populated city in the United States. LA is number 2. LA has a lot of cases, but doesn't have the same death rate controlled, etc. Different reasons for that. LA closed down before New York City. LA is not quite as like packed in together like in Manhattan is. LA doesn't have the commute, like a lot of people commute from New Jersey, etc., into New York. But these 2 doctors were in an area that were not as heavily hit. That's number 1. Number 2, they also owned urgent care centers, not hospitals. They owned urgent care centers, and they saw a decline. I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm not saying that it's an issue, but it's to their benefit if we ease restrictions, if we opened up, the state. They were losing money. I mean, probably losing money. I'm just guessing. I don't know for a fact. So you got to understand the source. The next thing, and this is the most troubling thing, you can disagree with the first 2 things I said. That's fine. But if you look at what they said, their math was wrong. Their math was wrong. Okay. By that, they took the wrong number of cases. Their denominator was wrong, right? So they said, the positive test rate is 20%. So therefore, there's a potential in the United States of having, they multiplied that of everybody living in the United States times 20%. And then they took the number of positive case or the number of deaths that they had and divided by that number. No, you're supposed to take the number of deaths you have divided by the number of actual positive tests, not divided by the number of potential cases all over the country. Doesn't work that way. So that was a big like red flag for me. I was like, I had to rewind it, and I had like, they just did that math completely wrong. Like no wonder they think that there's like a 0.003% death rate. Like their denominator is completely wrong. So anyway, that's enough about them. Let's take some questions, right? If this has been helpful, I hope you'll share it. I will be editing this down, putting this up on my YouTube channel, so you can find the edited version on my YouTube channel. And then also, if you need help with your weight loss surgery journey, my weight loss surgery challenge is up, and you don't need to sign up. I'm just gonna put it here because that's kind of how I make my money these days since I retired. But here's the web address. If you want to check it out, I'd appreciate it. If you don't, no big deal. It's currently open. I only open it for enrollment once a month. And what do you get? You get a daily email from me with tests, with things to do, videos, inspirational videos. I really deal with the head part of the weight loss surgery and the challenge of losing weight. Plus, you get to be a part of a secret group. And in that secret group, I do a Facebook Live every single day, tackling the hard issues of the weight loss surgery journey. The mental side, emotional side, psychological side. I try to give you like tried and true tips that really work to take your weight loss surgery journey to the next level. We talk about meditation, we talk about journaling, we talk about whatever. If you're expecting me to give you just a food journal, like Dr. V, just give me a meal plan of what to eat to lose weight, this is not for you. That's not a challenge. You can find that shit anywhere. The challenge is the harder work, the mental, psychological, emotional side. How do you deal with your surroundings, people around you? How do you set yourself up for success? That's the weight loss surgery challenge. That's what is open. You can check that out. Let's take some viewer questions, right? All right. Karen Morrison, it's worth it showing the check. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. All right. Would you consider doing Netflix series on obesity weight loss? Boy, if Netflix would have me, I would totally do that. Thank you. Dr. Vaughn, I need help losing weight, please. Is that bookshelf real? No, I've already shown you. This is my studio. I have a green screen. I have other things. Just watched the Florida governor say he's ready to start phase 1. Oh, I totally forgot I was going to talk about opening. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. All right. So let's talk about what's going to happen when we open real quick. Okay. So when your state, okay, first of all, let me say this. We cannot stay shut down forever. The economics of the world just mandate that we need to get back to work. We need to get back to business, etc. And so, yes, I agree with everybody who says that this treatment cannot be worse than the disease. I understand that saying. And I know that there are most likely increased calls to suicide hotlines. That doesn't mean there have been more suicides, just more calls to suicide hotlines. And also, I know that obviously there's probably going to be increased cases of domestic abuse, as well as hungry kids, because there are a lot of hungry kids that only eat if they go to school, right? I'm a part of a charity that deals with that. It's called Sababa Water by my very good friend, Jonathan Stone. You can look them up. You buy a bottle of water, it feeds 1 meal per kid. So the panic over opening up is a little unnecessary. Now, are we opening up a little bit early? Earlier than I would like, but I can't control that, right? But what you need to watch for is this. You're going to have an uptick in cases. Just like on Sunday, you notice that in the US, we had this plateau curve, and then there was an upcrease, and then it started decreasing again. Well, that was from 2 weeks ago when we had Easter. And I promise you, people during Easter did not practice social distancing as well as they should. Now, some people did, but a lot of people did have small gatherings, and that was the uptick that we saw in cases. So when we open up the states, whatever your governor decides, you will see an uptick in cases. That's to be expected. That's not the problem. The problem that you need to watch when you're opening a state for COVID-19 is this. You need to watch where areas that were not previously affected now get hot. Now start having a major increase in cases. So I'll give you an example. Chicago is the 3rd largest city in the United States. Houston is the 4th. So Chicago's a little bit bigger, but they're comparable in terms of population. Houston, where I'm currently living, today, as of April 29th, has 6,000 cases and roughly 100 deaths, a little over 100 deaths. Chicago, on the other hand, has 35,000 cases. 35,000 cases. So has 6 times the number of cases that we have, even though the metro population is similar. Now, you could make an argument that maybe Houston is hotter, which it is. Like outside today, it's 80 degrees. Chicago is going to be a little bit cooler. So what you need to watch out for when we're opening the states is for areas previously not affected, like Houston, to suddenly get really hot. That's the problem. Okay, so that's the metric you're really looking for. So if your city, and I don't mean a little town as much as like your city, if you have a good sized city, I just came from Albuquerque, New Mexico, for example. Albuquerque, New Mexico doesn't have that many cases. If they suddenly get a bunch of cases, then we know we have a problem. Now, both of these cities, Albuquerque and Houston, do have one benefit, and that is that they are in hot climates. And so we know the coronavirus does not like heat. And so it's going to, not survive as well, which is good. So the interesting thing is going to be what happens to the northern cities, when we open up. Indianapolis, Springfield, Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, what will happen to cities close to Chicago, like Milwaukee, right? What's going to happen to Madison, Wisconsin, Buffalo, New York, areas you want to open. So A southern city would be like Miami. You know, they got it under a little bit of control from the spring break fiasco, but I'd be pretty cautious, man. Pretty cautious opening it, you know. So Nashville, Tennessee. What about Central America, the Midwest? What about Nashville, Tennessee? What about, you know, Nashville's right there dead center, and you know, it's a pretty populated city. I don't know the size of Nashville, probably 500,000 to 1 million people if I had to guess, something like that. Someone can correct me. So that's what you want to watch out for, right, when you're opening up states. Now, for those of you who disagree with your governor opening up the states, let me tell you this. This is what I teach my people in my weight loss surgery challenge. You can't control it. It's going to happen whether you agree with it or not. So having anxiety about it ain't going to change it. You can't control it. So if you can't control it, no need to have anxiety about it. Does that make sense? So you can only control what you can control, which is hand washing, social distancing. If you're at high risk, really take quarantining seriously. And you guys know all these risk data, so I don't have to repeat it, but advanced age, that means 60 or older. 60 or older, it means pulmonary issues previously, COPD, bad asthma, oxygen dependency, and then of course morbid obesity. And that's why I started talking about this, because my following is the morbidly obese. Let's take some questions. All right, comments here. Oh, here we go. I saw that. Nashville, 692,000 inhabitants. There you go. How do you think Canada is doing tackling COVID-19? You know, I'm not Canadian. It seems to be pretty good. It's not, Canada is not quite as populated as the United States. It's got roughly 50,000 cases, and they're pretty spread out. So really the question is going to be, Jennifer, like what's going to happen in the big populated cities? The areas of the tundra and where it's less populated, it's probably going to start to decline. Just like what we're seeing in Alaska. The number of cases in Alaska went up and then is dramatically decreasing. So because it's pretty spread out, as long as you control your little hot spots in Canada, you'll be better. Okay. What's your opinion of wearing face masks? Thank you for the question. So Farella, hope I said that right. I think that unless it's like an N95 mask, it's not really going to be that helpful. It will not help keep you from catching it. If you are close to it, if someone is within 6 feet of you and sneezes at you, or you touch a surface that has coronavirus on it and you touch your mask, or you take off your mask and then you touch your face later, you're going to get coronavirus. Now, what will it do is we know that coronavirus spreads if you sneeze or cough, right? It's in our droplets. So that mask will shield, will help prevent the spread of it from you giving it to someone else. Because we know about 20 to 30% of people are asymptomatic carriers, which is another difference between that and the influenza. You know, it's pretty rare to spread it if you are asymptomatic with the flu, seasonal flu. But the coronavirus, you can spread it if you're asymptomatic. And so if you cough, you know, remember you're wearing this mask, and you cough, and the virus is going to kind of go around and to the side, get on surfaces, etc. But it will decrease the transmission, but it won't stop you from catching it. I hope that answers the question. All right. These questions are going pretty good. No. Let's see. Laurie, someone who is high risk cancer, for example, do you imagine that they pretty much lock down for the next year? So I assume if you're asking me if someone is high risk and it comes back in the fall, you need to take high precautions again. Yeah, for sure. Because until they come up with a vaccine, So that's probably a key point. Until we have a vaccine, and not any old Joe Schmo vaccine, a vaccine that has been proven to work. That's key. A vaccine that has been shown to be effective. And these are questions that we don't know. We don't know if coronavirus vaccine is going to be like the chickenpox vaccine, where if you get it once, you have lifetime immunity, or if you have to get it every single year, like the influenza, or if it gives you immunity for, say, 5 or 10 years, and then it decreases, like the pneumococcal vaccine, right? Does that make sense? These are just things we don't know yet. It looks to be pretty stable. Coronaviruses have been around for a long time, but this is a new one, and we're just going to have to test it. I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much. Some new comments. Thank you guys for sharing. Where do you think the U.S. will be 1 year in terms of daily life? That's a tough one. Like I'm not really the world of predicting. I'd like to try, which is funny because I tried to predict the number of cases in Easter. You saw how that went. Our hopes is that life will go back to normal. And by normal, I mean normal. I mean restaurants are full. You can be shoulder to shoulder with people at the bar. You can, I love the sound of a busy restaurant, man. I love to go to a nice restaurant and hear it busy and clanging and people laughing. I love going to concerts. Like, man, one of my favorite lifetime memories is when I saw a Rod Stewart concert in Caesar's Palace. It was amazing, man. And everybody, it was packed, and everybody in there was singing all the songs at the top of our lungs. So much fun. And the other great concert was the Pink concert that I took my then 11-year-old daughter to. And we were at the Toyota Center, so with like 30,000 other people, and had a great time. That's America. That's how life is meant to be. Soccer games, NFL football, school assembly, school graduation, college graduation. These are things that make up the fabric of life. And I think we'll get back to that once we get a vaccine for coronavirus and everything that works. All right. Excellent. Wake up, Maggie. Spanish flu was a virus. Yeah. Not bacterial. And like 200,000 people died. 250,000 people died. Sister, what about reinfection? Yeah, it could happen. We just don't know yet. Now, if coronavirus behaves like other viruses, once you catch it, you should develop antibodies, and that would give you a certain level of immunity to it. How long will that immunity last? We're not sure. That a lot of it depends on how mutating is this particular coronavirus. What will happen if Georgia case will I don't know. That's not up to me. That's up to your governor. Pink is a COVID-19 survivor. Jasmine, I saw that. She did an Instagram, and she also did a interview with Ellen. I don't remember if Pink was a coronavirus had it. I know her husband had it, and he was the one that was sick. Did he eventually pass it on to her? Jason Jones. I don't know. Should no death by July regardless of success of mitigation. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe no new deaths, but we're going to still have deaths because we'll still have cases, and we'll still have patients in hospitals for sure by July. July is burying people for sure. Cindy, do you think we would go back to shutdown come the fall time when the peak is back up? I don't know what we'll do, and I tried to answer that earlier. We're going to have a problem because it's going to be complicated because we're going to have to deal with the seasonal flu this fall too. I'm not sure if Trump will start. I just can't imagine the world shutting back down again. I mean, it's just economic disaster, which we're in for, by the way. All right, guys, let me ask me a question about weight loss surgery. The reason why I started doing this, remember, was because the number one risk factor for poor outcomes with the coronavirus was morbid obesity. So one study said, one report, it wasn't an actual study, said they looked at patients in the ICU with coronavirus, and 80% of those patients were morbidly obese, BMI over 40. So, and not super big. I mean, 35 to 40. Okay. Oh, I saw a question. Okay. Is COVID-19 the deadliest virus we've ever had? Answer is no. Is it highly transmissible? Yes. Does it have a very high death rate? Yes, more highly than it should. But you have to remember, Ebola was frightening as fuck. We remember when Ebola came to Dallas, came to the United States, we all freaked out. And why did it not spread? Well, here's the reason. If you're a virus and you're dependent on a host to spread, it's not such a good idea if you keep killing your hosts. So the issue with Ebola was once we were able to track it, we studied it, we knew how it was transmitting. It was really for people in African countries who were caring for the dead, the people who had Ebola. This is before they knew it was called Ebola. And they were caring for the sick patients. They were the ones who spread it. So once they figured that out, we did the social isolation, the distancing, got rid of all the contaminated clothing and all that sort of stuff, and quickly killed the Ebola virus, controlled it because it killed its host too fast. Will it have in terms of economic damage? Yeah, this is by far the most devastating virus, economically speaking. Spanish flu, where a lot of people died, I don't know, maybe. I don't know the economic numbers there. So, all right. So, hey, I just want to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll edit down the short clips for you guys where I address the controversial issues. Remember, I'll just recap it for you in case you're catching it up again. The remdesivir is a new drug that has a new study that's showing some promise with treatment. But remember, the difference in mortality was 11.6% mortality rate in the control group and an 8% mortality rate in the people treated with remdesivir. In other words, people without remdesivir, 87.6% of 88% of people survived without remdesivir. 92% survived with it. So it's statistically significant, but it's not a huge thing. And also, remdesivir is currently not approved to treat any drug anywhere on this planet in any country. All right, so it is seriously a trial drug, and we need to be very cautious before we jump to conclusions about granting compassionate use or releasing it. Okay, next number, the Sweden's death rate is 13%, and their case numbers are going up. And my surgeon colleagues who are Swedish, who are currently in Sweden in the hotbed, in the epicenter of the pandemic in Sweden, says they are overwhelmed. They had a lot of cases. They have a lot of deaths. So this is an internet lie about how Sweden was not practicing social distancing. They said they are, and they're not on shutdown and quarantine, but they're hand washing, social distancing, doing all this stuff, right? They're just not requiring people as a quarantining technique. But they have a very high death rate. The next number was the two doctors who were in California saying this was way overblown. Their video has been taken down. You can find some pirated copies still on YouTube, but their original video was taken down. The main problem with their argument was they did their math wrong. They divided by the denominator wrong, and it made their percentage really, really low. Their death rate like stupidly low. And I say that with a lot of respect because, I mean, they're doctors. We need to show our frontline people much more respect. And opening up. The last thing is opening up. What you want to watch out for when we're starting to open up your country, whatever country you happen to be watching from, it is whether or not a metropolis area of a big city that was not previously affected now suddenly has a spike in cases. Such cities would include the one I'm currently living in, Houston, which is a little bit smaller than Chicago. We only have 6,000 cases and a little bit over 100 deaths, versus Chicago that has over 35,000 cases. And so if Houston spikes, gets hot, we know we'll have an issue. We know an overall number of cases is going to go up. We know that the number of cases is going to go up once we open. That's not the surprise. The surprise will be a previously less affected area suddenly becomes hot. That's what we're watching out for. Okay. If this has been helpful, I hope you will hit share. I hope you will tag some people. If you need help with your weight loss surgery journey, my weight loss surgery challenge is now open. I will post it again for you real quick. And if you want to check it out, you can. It is a daily email with me. There's several people in it who's watching it, who's watching this video, and they can have a testimony real quick. They'll drop a comment if they find it helpful. You get a daily email from me with tasks to do, inspirational videos to watch. Plus, you'll be a part of a secret group where I personally do a Facebook Live every single day, helping you with your weight loss journey. You don't have to have weight loss surgery. This can be for anybody. You can be pre-op, you can be post-op, you can be years out. If you need help with your weight loss surgery or your weight loss journey, this is the challenge for you. I'm not going to give you a meal plan. I'm not going to prep meals for you. That's bullshit stuff. That's stuff you can find anywhere. I'm going to talk about the headspace. I'm going to talk about the psychological, the emotional aspects of the weight loss journey and how you become a badass and how we get that scale moving for you again. In addition, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for group coaching. So there's a group of us on Zoom once a week so it's much smaller, 6 to 8 people talking about your journey. And then again, I will give you specific tasks to accomplish during the week in your group that will hopefully give you some epiphanies, some ahas. Plus, you'll get a chance to have one-on-one mentoring with me if you so desire. I only have 3 spots for that left. So you can check that out. So WLSchallenge.com, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for sharing. I only do this coronavirus videos now if I feel like I've got something to add. And if you feel like I helped clarify things for you today, I appreciate the share and the follow, so subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Hey guys, be safe out there. God bless our first responders. God bless our doctors and nurses, everybody in the front line, our aides, our people, our phlebotomists, our front desk girls. Thank you guys so much. Our pathologists, our lab techs who are handling the specimens, who are testing it. You guys have to remember, it's one thing to test you, swab you. It's another thing to run the test to get the results back. Don't forget about them. Also, our truck drivers and obviously the people working to deliver our food, the grocery store handlers, the restaurant industry. As we open up the world back to normality, please be kind to each other. Please be patient. And please be understanding for the restaurant people, the bar people, the little small businesses that are asking for our help. So let's make a concerted effort to unite and to go to your local restaurants and your local businesses to support our local companies and help them stay in business, because they've been hurting. And they're going to continue to hurt until we get a vaccine for coronavirus. All right, guys. Love you guys very much. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you back next time. Bye, guys.